This podcast is brought to you by Always Possible.
alwayspossible.co.uk.
Welcome to One Young World Belfast. Please take your seats. The show is about to start.
Well, hello. You're listening to episode 3 of our 3-part Possibility Club special, recorded from the heart of the One Young World Summit 2023 in Belfast. In this episode, we're exploring the theme of global sustainability and hearing from extraordinary young leaders from around the world who are effectively innovating and campaigning about climate change and the practical solutions to crises around food, weather, carbon, heat and energy. This is a short but deep dive into the pioneers under 30 who are using the One Young World movement to forge paths towards a more sustainable future. We'll share conversations with delegates, insights from sponsors and highlights from keynote speeches and lively debates, all centred around the courage and innovation required to tackle our most pressing environmental issues. I'm Richard Freeman, and this is the Possibility Club at the One Young World Summit, where we're unveiling the stories of the world's most passionate young social entrepreneurs, all committed to the vital cause of sustainability. Let's start with a Tanzanian woman called Nancy, who is brilliantly passionate and knowledgeable about seaweed.
As a child, I was never attracted to the sea. I grew up in a coastal city, Dar es Salaam, in Tanzania, but my parents never took me to the beach, and I was a non-swimmer. Our community firmly believes that the ocean is only for fishes. I dreamt about a career as a medical doctor, and had no inkling that my destiny lay in the water. But everything changed when I was studying for a science degree and found myself aboard a ship that was taking ocean samples off the coast of Southeast Africa. The experience completely changed my perspective, and I decided on doing a master's in marine sciences. While I was studying, COVID hit. The world began to turn to healthier diets that would boost immune systems. It was then that I heard a comment on the radio from the World Health Organization identifying seaweed as one of the planet's most enriching foods. My attention was turned to the coast. The Tanzanian archipelago of Zanzibar is a center of farming seaweed. I began research on 20 Zanzibar coastal villages and found that 99% of the 11,000 tons of seaweed produced there each year was for export. And it appeared that seaweed nutritional properties were better known in the West than in my own country where it was being harvested. Seaweed is no ordinary marine plant. In some parts of the world, it is known as sea moss, but many scientists call it ocean's superfood. Tanzania is the third largest seaweed producer in a $6 billion global industry. We have 20,000 seaweed farmers, most of them being women. So, I co-founded Healthy Seaweed Company with a vision of increasing local consumption of seaweed, both in my country and all across Africa. We are innovating in the production of diverse seaweed for food products, including gels and powders, while incorporating a strong economic social agenda that improves the lives of women seaweed farmers by purchasing a kilo of seaweed at 4 times the price they would normally receive. To date, we have a products line of 13 seaweed for food products used in salads, juices, puddings, smoothies, candies, and seasonings.
Nancy Iraba's journey from aspiring medical doctor to a pioneering marine scientist and entrepreneur is a testament to the power of adaptive creativity and social responsibility. Her entrepreneurial venture, the Healthy Seaweed Company, is not just a business, it's a revolution in the way we perceive and utilise marine resources. By focusing on seaweed, which is a versatile, renewable, abundant and nutritious marine plant, She's not only tapping into a lucrative global industry, but also transforming the lives of local communities, especially women, and especially women by the coast. This model of entrepreneurship teaches the world several crucial lessons. Firstly, it highlights the importance of looking beyond traditional markets and products. By promoting local consumption of seaweed in Tanzania and across Africa, Nancy's unlocking the potential of a resource that's often overlooked in its native region. The One Young World Summit was particularly notable to me because of the sheer number of smart, articulate and exceptionally bright female business leaders. The first event we saw in the main auditorium featured Nancy's talk on the power of seaweed, but there was also a blistering introduction to the world of Rana Hajiwasuli, who producer Chris and I tracked down for a chat over lunch.
Thank you so much, Richard. Hi, my name is Rana Hajiwasuli. I'm the founder and CEO of The Surplus. It's an online digital sustainability exchange. I'm actually representing the UAE here, although I'm American-Iranian. I've lived in the UAE for a very long time, and I'm very, very fortunate to be here as a BP Net Zero scholar. So my focus has really been around net zero and industrial decarbonization around the summit. I've also spoken at the food crisis, but a huge portion of my work actually focuses on risk mitigating for SMEs and addressing the climate emergency.
Rana has qualifications from Trinity College Dublin, Middlesex University in Dubai, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, Harvard and Cambridge. This includes 4 master's degrees covering law, public health, peace studies and sustainability. But when you speak to her, it's also clear that she's not a typical academic. She's got a brain rooted squarely in business and how to be pragmatic about real-world problems. I wanted to know, what was she getting out of being at the summit?
Honestly, it's been the most invigorating, action-packed summit I've ever attended. I've gone to a lot of conferences and a lot of summits and a lot of expos, but there's been nothing quite like this. First of all, I think, for a lot of us young, I suppose, entrepreneurs, I would say there are not many kind of platforms for us to connect with global leaders and to get some very incredible advice and mentorship opportunities, structured networking. But more importantly, the delegates are so dynamic here. I've never been to a place where someone will just come up to you and say, I work for this company. How do we get started? Let's start a collaboration. I really want to drive change. And they just send an email out the same day and they, things start going from there. So I feel that this is really a catalyst. And One Young World told us when we first came here that the real work starts when you leave the summit, and now I really understand what that means.
So I was watching the food crisis plenary that you were part of. There was a blistering speech from Bob Geldof, and then you were one of a number of delegates talking through your projects, and I was really taken by the surplus and the sort of, in many ways, quite straightforward business problem solving. You were using a kind of very conventional entrepreneurial mindset and approach to solve what is an extremely complex issue that actually, a lot of businesses are guilty of perpetuating. The idea of surplus and waste stock and a lack of join up between how supply chains work, and so we end up with too much over here and too little over here. And I thought, that's such a simple thing to be trying to do, and what a massive impact that will have. So tell me a little bit more about how it works, and you had quite a personal story about how you came into doing it in the first place.
Yeah, so my personal story was something that I think, on one hand, so I'm on the spectrum, so I don't grieve conventionally. I don't really know how to, process my emotions. Everything for me is very pragmatic on a personal note. So I suppose that was my response to understanding that there is a bigger problem here, that it's not only affecting me. I was always interested in sustainability. I just felt that I didn't have the commercial or business acumen to get started. I didn't know which angle of sustainability I wanted to be involved in. So, I started the first, beach cleanup when I was 6 years old in the UAE, thinking this is it, we can do something about this, very naively. But fast forward some years, I realized that this was a very, deeply embedded commercial problem. And the more I started, working with, clients within the kind of construction chemicals industry, I understood that SMEs are in the peripheries of sustainability discourse. They're not at the core of policy. They're not at the core of conversation. There's never a seat for them at the table. So who better to help radically reduce emissions than SMEs? Because we talk about that very small percentage of companies that are the most large polluting, but if we help the 90% of the global economy, then perhaps they'll be able to counteract that and instigate some change. So how it works is quite simple. We're a Race to Zero accelerator. So that means it's the kind of UN-backed campaign to mobilize non-state actors to help them achieve their net zero targets, whatever that means for them within their context and within their kind of capacity. So first we help give a free kind of business emission screening. So we understand, where is your emissions problem? Where's your stuff? Where is your assets? What are you struggling with? Then we essentially teach them to use our methodology, and then they go onto the platform and act autonomously and self-organize. So that means they could share their stuff, they could lease it, they could sell it, they can start sourcing locally. So that also has a localized approach to what is quite a large problem. But what we've seen companies be able to actually reduce their costs and their emissions by 90%. So we know the model works and it is possible. So now what we're hoping to do is really scale that and provide that replicability that sustainability solutions need to have, and more importantly, give them simple solutions, because there's a lot of jargon in the sustainability world, in the climate world, that that doesn't take into consideration technical and language barriers, accessibility barriers. So the simple solutions are always the most effective. That's why we need to keep our solution as simple as possible, with something people might be perhaps more familiar with doing, but just slightly breaking them out of that vicious cycle of the linear supply chains.
Rana's story and capability is something really exciting. And producer Chris and I met many young adults at the summit who had overcome some kind of trauma or persecution to build something entirely constructive and hopeful. But we also met people whose enterprise is dealing in parts of the world in which conflict is not something of the past, and where their true creativity deals head-on with active tensions that might mean barriers for most people. Mazur Mohammed, a Sudanese delegate at the One Young World Summit, told me about his approach to entrepreneurship in a country still perceived by many travellers as a no-go conflict zone. Mazur founded Visit Sudan with the aim of involving local Sudanese people in developing a tourism offer that included authentic local experiences that provide them with a sustainable income. His work is focused on changing perceptions of Sudan as simply a war zone, and more about empowering young content creators and storytellers who have a 21st century take on tourism, culture, the environment, and travel. Mazur's story highlights the complexities and potential of entrepreneurship in conflict-affected areas, demonstrating a resilience and the power of innovative thinking in these challenging environments.
So my initial thought was actually to change the stereotypes about Sudan, but I failed miserably because of the governments and the people in power that are still convincing people that we are a war zone, we are a conflict area, and we will never recover from that. But I've been working for 5 years before the war. I brought so many tourists, content creators. I worked with content creators that have millions of followers, like Drew Binsky, like Izo Beck from Germany, from Saudi Arabia, from Egypt, and I hosted them and helped in filming, because I'm a content creator as well.
It turned out that Mazur was staying in Brighton, near where I live. It interested me whether he might be learning about attitudes to sustainable tourism in different places, like the UK, and whether his travels had been insightful when thinking about how tourism can benefit local people and the planet, as well as those spending money on sightseeing. Sudan, of course, has more ancient pyramids than Egypt, and is a magnificent land of heritage and social history.
So every country that has, or every place that has a different way of approaching. I mean, my experience in Sudan has been approved in different countries, like for example in Egypt and Tunisia. I've been invited to many conferences like the UNESCO World Heritage Conference for the Arab professionals, and I went also for the African professionals in Kenya. And it's always about how we can approach tourism in a sustainable way, in an eco system that can contribute to the sustainability of tourism. We don't want tourism that does destruction for tourism. Heritage sites, but we want something that can sustain these places and can sustain the local communities around these places.
And now to someone whom I've been thinking about a lot since leaving the summit in early October. Someone whose incredible innovative work around renewable energy in one of the most hostile places on Earth has almost certainly been devastated in the past few weeks.
My name is Mohammed. I'm from Palestine.
Although he lives in Saudi Arabia these days, Mohammed and his family are from Gaza, and his company, Sunbox, has been focused for a few years on creating sustainable solar-powered energy for buildings in Gaza to counter their reliance on erratic generators and blockaded fuel supplies.
So basically, Sunbox was founded in 2017, and it came out of pain. I started Sunbox with my co-founder and sister back in 2017 because we come from a city which has one of the most terrible energy crises around the world. I remember when I was a student, I used to use candles for studying during the night. I'm a guy who likes to study at night rather than the day. I'm more active. So I remember those days when I used to light candles, and I told my sister that day that we should do something about this. I used to watch the news. I had internet in my house for some time when the power is on, and I was reading about the solution that the world is using solar, batteries, energy alternatives, let me say. So when I graduated in 2015, I spent 2 years almost working in, I'm a civil engineer, and my sister as well as a civil engineer. We spent almost 2 years working in our field, but at some point we thought maybe we should do something different to this community where we come from. And we started Sunbox in Gaza, and it was not easy at all because Gaza is a place with special conditions related to bringing products in and out, and also for traveling. Everybody was saying we are not gonna make it, but we believed in this, and we thought it could be successful. We should give this a try, and it took us almost 2 years to prepare everything, the permissions and all of the testings. Now we're reached a point that we are affecting the life of hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza actually regarding the energy crisis, and it comes also to a point where we supply also desalination plants, hospitals, handicapped children. Now I live in Saudi Arabia for the past 2 years, and we also pay back part of our profit in the Gulf to the Gazan company so we can supply people with subsidized solar systems.
That's extraordinary. Thank you. When we spoke, we obviously didn't know what was about to unfold in Gaza and southern Israel. But Mohammed's story is clear about the persistent and historical conditions that his family have had to endure, which makes creative businesses like his even more extraordinary. I wanted to know more about what made him see opportunity to do something when so many others would understandably struggle to see beyond despair.
Actually, my parents, my dad is a special person. He usually says, guys, you guys should do something different in your life. So he always encourages us, and he does all what he can do in order to make it happen. And I remember the first time when we imported our first products, our first shipment to Gaza. And I remember that day when he spent the night just next to the checkpoint waiting for the goods to come in, and it was not easy. So he said, guys, I'm here for you, you can go home. So he's very supportive, and also in terms of money, in the beginnings, he was the guy who supported us financially, before we get the investment and before we get the angel investments and all of those financial issues. We are now working in the Gulf, and he was always saying you guys don't stay here. You should look for something else, for somewhere else, cross the borders, do your business in different places, affect more people's lives, because this is the way you are gonna make the world a better place for everybody.
How have you found the summit so far? Have you heard things that have inspired you? Have you met people doing similar things that you want to collaborate with? We're only on day one. Are you looking forward to specific things over the next couple of days?
Yes, so being here is it's my first time to be in a place with such diversity. I like the way you chose people to come here, and like everyone has his own successful story, which is special actually. I think like being here is such an opportunity that is like really, really adorable. What I like is also about the workshops. Most of them are new to, like I've attended many summits before, but it's my first time to have this impact. And also for the speeches, like I've heard many speeches up to now, and they are all like well prepared, talking about like, different, let me say, SDGs and, like mental health, sustainability, which is like important for everybody now in the world, because like we could see the climate change, we could see things are getting different because of what happened in the past. So I think what One Young World is doing is really good for a better future for everybody on this earth.
And what will you take away when you go home on Thursday?
Of course, networking and new connections are just perfect. Like now, it's only 2 days, and I'm now thinking about doing like business, for example, in Africa. I've talked to many people from different African countries, and I could see that it's important. The energy crisis is also important for them. Like I didn't imagine there is a place on earth which is going to be similar or worse than Gaza, but I could see from talking to people that many of them are coming from countries with even worse in energy crisis. So I think maybe in the near future I would discuss with my co-founder sister doing some business in African countries, because people there are like they are in need for what we are doing. The good thing about Sandbox is we developed some kind of a product which is a pay-as-you-go system. It's like a solar system where people can pay in monthly installments. Usually this problem with solar energy systems is the capital cost, but we could solve this in Gaza. And I think in Africa this is also going to be very successful. And also it affected like my way of thinking, my way of addressing problems and the challenges regarding the business.
Fantastic. Mohammed and his family remain in our thoughts, and we hope that they are as safe as can be. A statement published in early December said, "At Sunbox Group Limited, our commitment to supporting the resilient people of Gaza during difficult times is unwavering. Despite the challenges posed by danger and the scarcity of resources, our dedicated team persists in providing essential assistance to ensure that everyone has access to power. In the face of adversity, we stand resolute, working tirelessly to make a positive impact on the lives of those in need. Sunbox believes in the transformative power of unwavering support, and we will continue to shine a light, bringing hope and energy to communities facing challenges."
This podcast is brought to you by Always Possible. But who are we?
Always Possible works with ambitious businesses, charities and public services that are thinking about what's next.
From architects to aerospace companies, puppet theatres to primary schools, business networks to big data analysts.
If you're wanting to be brave with some big decisions, or to be clearer about what to prioritise, then an award-winning workshop from the Always Possible team is a brilliant starting point.
We care about just one thing: building ideas that work.
For creative, intuitive and practical expertise, consider Always Possible as your strategic partner. Find out more about how we could power up your mission. Visit alwayspossible.co.uk.
alwayspossible.co.uk.
Elsewhere in the Middle East, Iraqi Kurdistan is a place of extreme sandstorms, 58-degree heat and rising in the summer, and limited technological infrastructure. It is an environment I can barely imagine. Khalid, a man we met, on the other hand, knows it very well, and in his view, the challenges presented make a 21st century approach to sustainability in a place like this even more critical.
And of course, climate change is one of the things that I'm focusing on, because Iraq is one of the highly impacted countries. When it comes to the climate change. Just imagine, like during the summer, it's above 57 or 58. And also even like Kurdistan is one of the places that we saw that before let's say 2000 or let's say 1990s, the weather was great. It was not like now, but even there we can see 45, 48. So it's something going wrong. And of course the the desert storms as well are, now they are common. Before they were, occurring, but, rarely, but now we can see it's more than 10 to 15 times per year. So, I'm also working with some local NGOs on the climate change as well, taking some actions, for example, planting trees, utilizing technology to, to see what are the, for example, AI, to pick the places that we need to plant the trees. And of course, there are some NGOs who are working on that, like 1 million oak trees. They are working on this area.
I wondered if coming to a summit like One Young World and being part of this movement gives Khalid access to ideas and solutions that might support what he is trying to do in Kurdish Iraq.
So because we have 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, I found that technology plays a key role in accelerating achieving those goals. And of course, we can see technology everywhere. So we can see technology in different sectors. One of the reasons that I would like to start this initiative, to kick this initiative, because I found that still, there are some gaps, especially in some countries, that the technology still, it's hard for them to access, for example, to the internet, to access to some devices, basic devices. So, for example, in the health sector, we found that during the COVID, there were some challenges that preventing people to use technology, and also because of most of people they're working remotely. So some countries they couldn't resume the online or the virtual learning. The same thing for the health sector. We found that there are some countries that they don't have the digital or we call it e-government. So the people are suffering to, for example, to access their data, and also the patients as well. So I found that this initiative will be something that there will be impact. And I'm also during this summit, I'm trying to connect to different delegates to see how we can contribute and of course implement in different countries. Especially I'm focusing on the countries that they are suffering or they have gaps in utilizing technology.
And have you come across any sustainability tech solutions since you've been here? Have you met people that are doing things that you've sort of been quite excited by?
Yeah, of course. I found that some delegates they have some projects, and also or they are working with some companies, organizations that they are doing that, which is great. I'm just trying to to see what are the areas, because of course we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So if there is a company, organization, they are doing something. We don't need to do it again. We just need to do something that, of course, will make achieving those SDGs easier, but at the same time, if there are areas for improvement, we will do that. Of course, this is one of the reasons. And beside that, I'm also trying to see how we can get benefit from the challenge. So there are some challenges we see. For example, for the agriculture, there are some countries who can use technology for the agriculture, but still they are not using. They are just using the manual or the legacy systems. So those are the reasons that we can see there are some challenge in this area in some countries. I found that there are some countries who are utilizing technology for agriculture, which is great. But for example, in my country, this is not available, unfortunately. So I'm trying to work on these areas. Of course, there are more areas, and I will talk to different delegates to see, how we can contribute and collaborate.
It is all well and good, I guess, examining sustainable innovation in extremis, and rightly applauding the social entrepreneurs who build an environmental mission despite so many social, economic and military crises around them. In truth, it is these guys who could be forgiven for having other priorities. So what about the global north? Are the architects of industrial pollution anywhere to be found at a summit like this? Well, yes. Luckily, we managed to find a bit of time with 3 very interesting young Germans.
Yeah, my name is David. I'm from Germany. I'm working as an energy and environmental manager on one of our production plants in Memmingen from Rode and Schwarz. My boss calls me about and say me, hey, there's a summit in Belfast. I think that's the perfect place for you to learn something new and to grow. And yeah, so I applied for the summit and get it.
Hello, my name is Jenny. I'm from Germany, 28 years old, working for Audi in Ingolstadt. I work as an environmental auditor and as a car manufacturer. We are responsible for 1% of the emissions worldwide, so we have quite huge an impact. And that's why I want to take responsibility, search for solutions to avoid emissions, and get to know these amazing One Young World community.
Yeah, so my name is Yannick. I'm also from Germany, also from Audi, but another plant, so Neckarsulm, and I'm planning charging infrastructure. And I have a project which is about like charging the vehicles more environmental friendly, so with renewable energy directly from our photovoltaic system. And my boss asked me if I want to apply for the One Young World Summit with this project because we have to have a project in order to apply at Audi. And now I'm here, and another colleague also told me that it's a really great event here. And now I'm together with the Audi delegation and also our scholars.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, thank you. So interesting that your employers, your bosses, saw this as an opportunity for you to go and do something which potentially is quite a big challenge to the businesses that you're in. Why do you think that was the case? Do you think that, what's the value of this to what will be a social impact, but also a commercial strategy? They're obviously investing, putting money in. I know Audi are sponsors. Why? Who wants to take?
Well, I think it's really important for the future to having products which are more environmental friendly, and to change the mindset in the company. And therefore we need people in the company that take action and do something about it. And I would say this is the perfect event for something like that, because you get to know a lot of people and a lot of projects they have, and you come here and go back home with a lot more ideas, and also the mindset to take action on what are our problems.
I think the complexity of our crisis are so big, and there's not only that one solution. And if you're getting engaged with so many people, well, they're also talking about mental health, stuff like that. So we need every resource, and that's why I think it's a good value to be here.
I think that we have a lot of opportunities in Germany to do or that we can do. And I think what people here are and present their things and what they do in their home countries. They are poor, often poor, or have no money. There are no democracy there, and we have all these things in Germany. We can do so much things, and we have the money, we have the people, and I take this with me and spread it out in the company and in my family and friends.
And with Germany, is the heart of European manufacturing. It's that advanced knowledge, skill, the kind of powerhouse of electronics and automotive, as you say. Do you sense a real shift happening, particularly with young leaders like yourselves stepping up and starting to be heard? Do you feel a change in the country?
Well, still many people see this shift as an decrease of our economy. But I mean, if we're not shifting, there will not be economy anymore. So I think it is our task to convince everybody that there's only one way to go.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we really see a shift, especially when more young people come to relevant positions, and also influencing the current managers, for example, at big companies. And I would also say that it also makes a difference when it comes to your so what you earn on money, because everyone wants to more buy products which are environmental friendly instead of like buying bad products or not environmental friendly products. So that's also shifting with a new generation, and that's why we have to do something also from the business side.
Yeah, it's a commercial dead end, isn't it, to ignore it, for sure. Thank you very much, guys. That was really... see? All of that. Perfect English. Perfectly eloquent. Really, really helpful.
Have you hung out with the scholars? You've got scholars here.
Yes.
What are they like?
They are amazing. I mean, they are from like countries like Nigeria, Jamaica, Laos. So we have like a worldwide field of scholars, and they have such massive projects, and it's really, really inspiring what they are doing.
We're near the end of our 3 special episodes from the Possibility Club at the One Young World Summit in Belfast. I have truly felt humbled by the stories and the work ethic of so many of the young people we've heard from, many of whom are rolling their sleeves up and solving problems when it is truly against the odds. I'm going to end with one of the last conversations we had during our stay at the conference. And although this episode has been focused on sustainability and environmental causes, and episode 2 was mainly on leadership more broadly, of course, these are just neat ways to frame some of the conversations, and nothing happens in isolation. Sustainability, peace building, and innovation is leadership, and then some. And a great example of all of this coming together was from the 24-strong delegation we met from Ecuador. Amongst this group were activists, students, entrepreneurs and creatives, with representatives from across Ecuador, including the country's indigenous peoples. Many didn't speak English, and for most this was their first flight and their first trip to Europe, and their excitement and energy was palpable. Over one of the lovely lunch boxes, which all 3,000 conference participants would down tools and share each day, we grabbed a moment with 2 of the Ecuadorian delegation leaders, Luis and Michelle.
So I am Luis, I am from Ecuador, from the Ecuadorian delegation. We came with a team of 24 young leaders from Ecuador, 1 from each province. So this is a very big thing for us. It's because it's the first time that we have given the chance to bring so many people from Ecuador to represent us and our country. And for them to take that experience back home, it's very gratifying. Yes.
Hello, I'm Michelle. I am part of the Ecuadorian delegation too. As Luis said, we managed to bring 24 young leaders here, but it's part of a program that we created as a creative house together with the First Lady of Ecuador, Maria Lourdes Alcivar, and a foundation, a social foundation that is called Ecuador One Heart. And we're trying to promote this unity value, and we thought, what's the best way to do it? By motivating these young leaders to be brave and believe in themselves, so when they come back from here, they are gonna push themselves and motivate others, inspire others. And all these 24 young leaders have different projects in social, mental health, climate change, women's defense against violence, and migration. So these are topics that are very relatable to this unity and all the values and principles that we are lacking in our country. So the whole point is to bring all the country together through this leadership.
Amazing. And what kind of experience have your 24 young leaders had so far? Is it like a mad party, or are they serious and kind of lapping up all the information, or a bit of both? Hopefully a bit of both.
So for them it's been an amazing experience, because for some of them who have never even gotten into a plane, has been an absolute insane experience to come to a place that is completely new to them, to meet other cultures as well, and feel free to step outside of the box in a way. Some of them have already made very big connections, especially with their own projects, so they can expand the project or make it a reality. through the connections that they have made here in the summit, and it's very gratifying for us who have seen them grow in that way and know from where they come from and where are they now. And it's a very beautiful experience for us as well. Very proud of them.
Yeah. I think they are a little bit of both. I have seen their stories, so they have fun. But I think that they have felt a lot of big emotions here, because they are very emotional about just to be here is very big for them. They think about their families, their communities, and I really like them to see that they have taken this responsibility very seriously in the way that they are an example for others. They are feeling this very much, so they are going everywhere they can, making this connection. Although they don't have so great an English, maybe they don't even speak the language so good, but they find a way to communicate and interact and create these connections. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for them, very proud of them, and I hope to see them what they are, I don't know, a year from now, what they do. So it's been amazing.
And what are the kind of leadership characteristics you think Ecuador needs from its young adults?
Especially showing leadership and taking responsibility. Through, as Michelle said, we are building this campaign about values. And for us, values are very important because those are the ones that build our society. So for us, it's very important, and we've seen in them the values that they carry as well, and so they can teach others and be representatives.
I think they have to believe in themselves, because maybe they are starting to believe in themselves, but back in Ecuador, people usually don't believe that they can accomplish anything. It's like it's sad, but it's true. So I think that's the first thing, and also to be unified with others, to be not looking just in a selfish way to go further, but in a community sense, because that's the only way we can go. I don't know, ¿cómo se dice? Salir adelante.
To move forward.
Yeah, move forward.
And so that's it. Thank you for listening to this final special Possibility Club episode from the One Young World Summit. If you've missed the episodes on peace and leadership, then do check back in the feed. But also continue subscribing to the Possibility Club, where we bring out new episodes every 2 weeks featuring change, impact and leadership from extraordinary people whom I get to spend some time with. If you enjoyed this episode or any others that you've heard, please let us know. Write a review, share it with friends. A rating on your favourite podcast platform is extremely valuable. And thanks so much to all of the contributors and interviewees in this and the other episodes, to the One Young World organisation, and to Georgie and Isabella at Seven Hills for all of their support. I've been Richard Freeman for Always Possible, and this episode has been produced and edited by Chris Thorpe-Tracey for Lo-Fi Arts.
alwayspossible.co.uk.
Lo-Fi Arts.